You leak power every single day in the way you respond to messages too quickly, in the way you explain yourself when no one asked, in the way you laugh at jokes that aren't funny to earn approval from people who don't respect you. You bleed status from 1,000 small cuts and you don't even notice the wound. Let me be direct with you. Most of you watching this right now should close the tab, not because you're not intelligent enough, but because you're not ready to stop being liked. You're addicted to the warmth of inclusion, the nod of approval, the safety of being seen as good. And what I'm about to show you will make you choose between being loved and being obeyed. You cannot have both. This video is not motivation, it's surgery. And surgery is violent. It cuts away what you've grown comfortable with. The part of you that seeks permission, the part that negotiates with people who have already decided you're beneath them, the part that still believes fairness exists outside of force. If you're uncomfortable, leave now. What follows is irreversible. Once you see how power actually moves through human interaction, you will never be able to pretend again. You will watch your friends give away their leverage. You will see your coworkers submit without realizing it, and you will recognize that most people are not players in the game. They are the board. This is the point of no return. You're about to learn 6 Machiavellian laws that will recalibrate how you move through every room, every conversation, every negotiation. These are not theories. These are mechanisms, and mechanisms don't care about your feelings. They simply work. So stop nodding along. Stop waiting for me to make you feel better about where you are. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to show you exactly where you've been losing. Let's begin. The first place you lose power is in your availability. You answer every text within minutes. You accept every invitation. You show up early, stay late, and make yourself endlessly accessible because you think it makes you valuable. It doesn't. It makes you furniture. And furniture is used, not respected. Let me explain the hidden dynamic you're blind to. When you're always available, you communicate that your time has no competing demand. That means you have no options. And a person with no options has no leverage. You become the fallback plan, the convenient choice, the person they call when everyone else is busy. You think you're being generous. You're actually broadcasting desperation. Machiavelli understood this with cold precision. He wrote that the prince must be seen but never fully possessed. The moment you are entirely known, entirely available, you lose the gravity that makes others orbit you. Familiarity does not breed contempt by accident. It breeds it because constant presence destroys mystery, and mystery is the architecture of desire. Here is your correction. Stop responding immediately, not out of pettiness, out of strategy. When someone texts you, let silence sit between you and them. Let them wonder. Let them fill that gap with their own imagination. Are you busy? Are you important? Are you choosing not to respond? It doesn't matter what the truth is. What matters is that they begin to consider you as someone whose attention must be earned. Decline invitations with no explanation. Do not apologize. Do not justify. Simply say, you're unavailable. The person who over-explains is the person who fears rejection, and fear is the scent predators follow. Reduce your visibility by half and watch what happens. The people who took you for granted will suddenly start pursuing because you have introduced scarcity into the equation, and scarcity creates value where abundance created contempt. Most people fail here because they confuse kindness with strategy. You're not being kind by making yourself endlessly available. You're teaching people that you have nothing better to do, and that is the truth they will believe. Become scarce. Let them come to you, and when they do, make them wait. The second law is simple and absolute. He who cares less controls everything. You entered a conversation hoping they would like you. They entered it knowing you wanted something from them. You lost before you spoke because the one who needs the outcome is the one who negotiates from a weakness. And weakness is the only position that guarantees exploitation. Look at how you behave when you want someone's approval. You laugh harder, you agree faster, you mirror their energy, their language, their opinions. You become a reflection because you're terrified of being a rejection. And in doing so, you hand them the knife and point to your own throat. And this is the trap of emotional investment. When you're emotionally invested in how someone perceives you, you give them administrative access to your behavior. They don't have to threaten you. They don't have to command you. They simply withhold their approval, and you contort yourself trying to earn it back. You become a puppet, and the strings are your own need to be seen as good. Machiavelli observed that the prince who is loved is at the mercy of the people's feelings, but the prince who is feared controls the terms. Love is conditional, fear is structural, and structure is what holds power in place when emotion fails. Here is what you must do: detach from outcomes completely. When you walk into a negotiation, a conversation, a relationship, you must enter it with the certainty that you can walk away at any moment, and not just the willingness, the preference. Because the person who is willing to lose is the person no one can threaten. Stop defending yourself. When someone challenges you, let the silence do the work. Do not explain. Do not justify. Do not fill the void with nervous energy. Let them sit in the discomfort of their own accusation. The person who rushes to defend has already admitted guilt. The person who remains silent has made the accuser prove their case. Remove your need for their validation. Praise means nothing. Criticism means nothing. Only results matter. Only leverage matters. The moment you stop measuring yourself by their opinion is the moment you become unmovable. Most people cannot do this because their identity is built on external approval. They are performers in a play they didn't write, desperate for applause from an audience that isn't even watching. You must kill that performer, bury them, and rise as something that does not need to be seen to know it exists. Emotion is a leash. Cut it. You want to be liked. That is your disease. You soften your competence so it doesn't intimidate. You downplay your achievements so others don't feel small. You self-deprecate. You deflect credit. You make yourself smaller in the room because you believe that humility earns affection. It doesn't. It earns invisibility. Let me show you what actually happens when you are competent and likable. People enjoy you, but they do not respect you. They see you as useful, pleasant, safe. You're the person they call when they need help, but never when they need a leader, because leaders are not friends. Leaders are forces, and forces do not apologize for their magnitude. The world rewards those who make it clear they are not here to be loved. Look at the people who hold real power. They are not warm. They are not inclusive. They do not ask how you feel. They set the terms and others adjust. You either meet their standard or you are replaced. There is no negotiation, and that is precisely why they win. Machiavelli stated it plainly. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, because love is fickle. It fades with inconvenience, but fear is structural. It persists even when you are absent. And respect is not given to those who seek it. It is given to those who make its absence unbearable. Here is your recalibration. Stop seeking rapport. Seek results. When you walk into a room, do not scan for who likes you. Scan for who is competent, who holds leverage, and who controls resources. Those are your peers. Everyone else is scenery. Do not laugh at weak jokes. Do not nod at mediocre ideas. Do not validate incompetence to make people comfortable. Your silence will teach them more than your politeness ever could. And if they resent you for it, let them. Their resentment is proof you are no longer competing for their approval. Speak less, execute more. Let your work be the argument. The person who talks about what they're going to do is begging for belief. The person who simply does it is demonstrating power. And demonstrations do not require permission. Most people fail here because they confuse being liked with being safe. You think if people like you, they won't attack you, but they will. They'll just smile while they do it. Competence is the only fortress that holds. Build it and let the walls be high enough that kindness cannot scale them. You're not here to be loved. You are here to be undeniable. You allow violations because you fear confrontation. Someone interrupts you in a meeting. Someone dismisses your idea without consideration. Someone takes credit for your work and you say nothing. You rationalize it. You tell yourself it's not worth the fight. You tell yourself you'll address it later. But later never comes. And every time you allow a boundary to be crossed without consequence, you train the world to see you as territory that can be claimed without resistance. This is how you lose your kingdom without a single battle. Understand the mechanism. Power is not granted, it is taken and defended. Every interaction is a test of whether you will hold your ground or cede it. And most of you cede it reflexively, instinctively, because you were taught that aggression is ugliness. It's not. Aggression is clarity. It is the refusal to be diminished. A king does not explain why his land is his. He simply defends it, and the defense itself is the proof of ownership. When you allow someone to violate your boundary and you do not respond, you are announcing to everyone watching that your boundaries are decorative. They are suggestions, and suggestions are ignored. Machiavelli knew this. He observed that territories fall not because of external invasion, but because of internal softness. The ruler who allows small violations will face large ones because predators test, they probe, and when they find softness, they strike. Here is what you do. The moment a boundary is crossed, you address it immediately. Not later, not privately. Immediately. If someone interrupts you, you stop speaking, let the silence sit, and then continue exactly where you were interrupted. Do not acknowledge them. Do not yield. You reclaim the space by acting as if it was never taken. If someone dismisses your idea, you do not defend it. You simply restate it with the same calm authority and move forward. You do not ask for permission to be heard. You take the room back by refusing to shrink. And if someone takes credit for your work, you correct the record publicly and without emotion. You do not accuse. You simply state the facts. That was my project. I led the execution. No anger, no plea, just surgical precision. The people who violate your boundaries are testing whether you are a threat, and the only answer they respect is force, not violence. Force. The immovable certainty that you will not be pushed. Most people fail here because they think patience is strength. It's not. Patience without enforcement is surrender, and surrender is how you become a subject in someone else's reign. Defend your territory every time without exception. You tolerate people who drain you because you confuse loyalty with weakness. There are people in your life who take and never give, who consume your time, your energy, your attention, and offer nothing in return. You know who they are. You've known for months, maybe years, and you keep them close because you're afraid of being seen as cold. Let me tell you what you actually are. You're being used, and the person using you does not respect you. They see you as a resource, a vending machine that dispenses favor without requiring payment. And every time you tolerate this, you teach them and everyone watching that your value is negotiable. This is where most people collapse. They believe that cutting people off is cruel, right? It's not. Cruelty is allowing parasites to feed until you're hollow. What you call loyalty is actually cowardice. You're afraid of the discomfort of confrontation, so you sacrifice your margin, your peace, your power. Machiavelli was ruthless on this point. He said that a prince must know when to eliminate threats, and he must do it swiftly and completely, not out of malice, out of preservation. Because a half-executed cut festers. You cannot wound someone and leave them alive. You either remove them entirely or you keep them whole. Anything in between creates an enemy. Here is your instruction. Identify everyone in your life who takes more than they give. Write their names down if you have to, then remove them. Not with drama, not with explanation. Simply withdraw access. Stop answering. Stop initiating. Let them fade into the irrelevance they've always occupied in terms of actual value. Do not feel guilt. Guilt is the tax weak people pay for self-preservation. You do not owe anyone your destruction. And the moment you start protecting people who wouldn't protect you is the moment you lose the capacity to defend yourself. Be surgical. Be final. And do not look back. The people you remove will call you cold. Let them. Cold is what keeps you alive when warmth would kill you, and the people who matter, the ones who operate at your level, will recognize the cut for what it is. A demonstration that you are not to be wasted. Most people fail here because they confuse kindness with sacrifice. You think letting people drain you is noble. It's not. It's suicide by 1,000 small permissions. Cut the dead weight. Watch how fast you rise. The final law is the one that separates rulers from subjects. Learn to win in silence. You've been conditioned to announce everything. Your plans, your progress, your victories. Like you treat your life like a performance and the world like an audience. And every time you speak, before you've secured the outcome, you give away your position. You invite interference. You create enemies who didn't even know you were a threat. This is the fatal error of the loud. When you announce your intentions, you allow others to prepare, to block, to steal, to undermine. You give them the roadmap to your treasure before you've buried it, and then you wonder why people sabotage you. They're not sabotaging you. You invited them by showing your hand. Machiavelli wrote that the wise prince reveals nothing until the thing is done, because revelation is power, and power should never be distributed before it is consolidated. The person who speaks of what they will do is asking for permission. The person who acts and then reports is demonstrating sovereignty. Here is what you must internalize. Stop announcing, stop updating, stop seeking validation for things that are not yet complete. When you're building something, let it be invisible. Let people underestimate you. Let them think you're idle, distracted, irrelevant. And then when the structure is complete, when the victory is secured, let them see what you have built. Do not explain your methods. Do not share your strategy. The moment you teach someone how you win, you create your own replacement. Guard your knowledge like a king guards his treasury, because it is your treasury, and those who have none will always try to take from those who do. Speak only when the outcome is irreversible, when the contract is signed, when the position is filled, when the war is won. Then and only then do you allow the world to witness, not to brag, but to establish that you are a force that moves in silence and manifests in results. Most people fail here because they are addicted to the dopamine of recognition. They need the applause before the performance is over. They need the validation before the work is done. And that need is what kills their power before it ever fully forms. Win quietly. Let your results be the announcement, and let those who doubted you reconcile their miscalculation in private. Silence is not emptiness. It is compression. It is the held breath before the strike. And those who master it do not need to speak. Their presence is the argument. You came here as a servant, not to me, to the systems that taught you to seek approval, to avoid conflict, to be agreeable, to shrink so others could expand. You've been a subject in a kingdom you didn't even know existed, and now you've seen the throne. What you do with this information will determine everything. Most of you will do nothing. You'll watch this video, feel a brief surge of clarity, and then return to the patterns that keep you small. You'll tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, that you'll implement this next week, that you'll become dangerous when the time is right. The time is never right. And tomorrow you will be exactly who you are today. But some of you, the ones who are still here, will recognize this for what it is: a blueprint, a reordering, a death of the version of you that asked for permission, and a birth of the version that takes territory. You cannot unknow what you now know: the leaks, the patterns, the mechanisms. You will see them everywhere, and you will have to choose in every interaction whether you will submit or rule. This is not the end of the lesson. This is the beginning of the test and the deeper knowledge. The tactics I didn't share, they're not for everyone. They're for those who prove they can execute on what they've already been given. So prove it. Or go back to the masses and pretend you were never here. The choice, as always, was never mine. It was yours.